all. I am Y.PREMALATHA TTWRDC, Janagam, as a computer science faculty. As a part of the online lecture, now I am going to discuss about the database management system. Before explaining about the database management system, we have to know the data, information, metadata and the database. So here data is a collection of raw facts about people, places, things, objects, etc. That means data is unprocessed. So data is a word derived from the datum. Datum is nothing but collection of something. So here raw facts it is the unprocessed or unprepared items. So data is a collection of something. So whatever the information, whatever the data is collected, that is unprocessed. So that is meaningless. So data is a word derived from the datum. Datum is nothing but the collection of the something. So we have to collect the just students information. Students information, that means colleges students are there, school students are there. Students is nothing but in all levels of the students can be considered as the students. That is SSC, Inter and the degree, PG and higher level of the education. Whatever we can treated as a student. So that is the data. So data is unprocessed. And next one is the information. Information is processed data. So whatever the data is collected, that can be the processed. Students information we are the collected. So students information is nothing but that is the, just now we are discuss about the information of the students information. That is SSC students, Inter students and the PG students. So number of students are there. So whatever the information can be the collected, that can be the, we have to arrange in a sequence. That means SSC students one side and the Inter students. And next it is the higher level of the education of the students. So whenever the data can be the processed, that means sequence one by one. So that is the meaningful. So meaningful data is called the information. So information is processed and it is useful to the user. So if whenever the information can be the meaningful, so we can take any decision about the information. So data is not processed. So we cannot take one decision about the data. Whenever the information can be the arranged in a sequence, we have to take any decision about the data. So that is the information. And next one is the metadata. Metadata is nothing but data about the data. So here data about the data is nothing but it includes the entity names and the attributes and the size of the field name, size of the student. So etc. is nothing but the metadata. So metadata is nothing but the data about the data. So for example, whenever we are taken the one table student. So student can be consist of the student number, student name, marks, course name and the campus name, etc. Here student number it is the data type either 3, 2, 1 or etc. So we have to mention the size of the data type and the student name. So name can be written in a text. So that is the length of the text we have to mention, either 20 characters, 30 characters, we have to mention the name of the data type. That means name of the data type is nothing but, here name it is a varchar and the student number it is, data type is the number and course name. Course name can be considered as a BCom, BSc something MCA or MBA. That is the courses. So courses also it is a text we have written. So course it is a varchar, variable character data type, and the information students are there, something there are the student table, student in a student table something 100 members are there. So 100 members there should have a names and the course name and the campus name. So that is the meaningful. So here metadata is nothing but the data about the data. Data about the data is nothing but the metadata. And next one is DBMS. So here DBMS is nothing but database management system. So DBMS is an interface between set of application programs and the database. So here database it is a software. So here database DBMS is a tool to store and edit and organize data in a database. So what are the features of the DBMS? Store the data in a centralized location, central location. So whatever the data is there, that can be stored in a central location. For example, telephone signals can be the comes in a central location. Whenever the central location can be the fail, the signals can be the not reachable to the all members. So that is stored in a central location. And the star signals, star connection signals, net signals can becomes in a central location. And the next one is allows data to be shared many users. So DBMS it is a software. So by using this software we can share data about the databases. By using the databases we can share the data to the many users. And next one provides user interfaces to work with the data and creates backup. Backup is nothing but whatever the data can be the loss that is getting back from the original data. That is data can be the getting back is nothing but backup. In our computer system and in mobiles we are getting the data backup options are there. So whenever data can be the retrieved, that is the backup. Next one controls who can access and edit the data. So these are the features of the DBMS. Next one is applications of DBMS. So what are the applications of DBMS? That means DBMS where it can be the using, how it can be the works. So railway reservation system, banking, universities and colleges, social media sites, telecommunication and online shopping, human resource management, airline reservation system and library management system. So these are the applications of the DBMS. So first one, railway reservation system. So in railway reservation system, how the database can be the using. So in a railway reservation system, database required to keep records of the ticket booking, trains departure time and the arrival time. Trains departure time and the arrival time and the train booking status. So all is also if trains get late, so whenever the train can be the later, so it can be update the information to the people through the database updates. By using the database, railway reservation system can be updating the information, that is ticket booking and the ticket cancellation and departure time and the arrival time and the late update the information. Next one is the banking information, banking. So how banking can be the use? So we make thousands of transactions through banks daily. we make thousands of transactions through banks daily, and we can do this without going the bank. So without going the bank, we can using the transactions, just like Google Pay and the Phone Pay and the Yono app. Whenever the Yono app is installed, total information can be the store in a Yono app. That means by using the DBMS only, total information can be stored in a app, Yono app. So how banking has become easy, that sitting at home we can send or get money through bank. We are sitting home and we can send or getting through banks money. So this all possible just because of the DBMS that manages all banks transactions. And next one is universities and the colleges. So how the universities can be the using DBMS? Examinations are done online today, and the universities and colleges maintain all the records through the DBMS. By using the DBMS only, all colleges can be maintaining the records, and hall tickets can be downloaded by using the online system. Now no one cannot be going the university directly and getting the hall tickets. It can be cited, it can be the websited. So whenever the time can be the allotted, so we are downloading. Because of the DBMS, background DBMS only, we are getting the total information about colleges can be maintaining all the records through the DBMS. And the students registration details, result, courses and the grades, all the informations are stored in the DBMS. So in this one of the site is there, www.kuonline.co.in, www.kuonline.ac.in. That means Kakatiya University. KU means, so Kakatiya University, all the information can be stored in a one website. So whatever the information you want, so you can sit in a one place and we can easily access the data. And next one is credit card transactions. So what are the credit cards and how it can be the using the DBMS? For purchase of the credit cards, all the other transactions are made possible only by the DBMS. So here credit card holder knows the importance of their information, that all are secured through the DBMS. So whatever the credit cards and debit cards and the ATM cards, they should have a security in the form of the PIN number. So that is security can be provided by using the DBMS. Only by using the DBMS only they are providing the security. And the next one is social media sites. So we are all on social media websites to share our views and the connect with our friends. So daily millions of users signed up for the social media accounts like Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, etc. So but how all the information of the users are stored and how we become able to connect to other people? Yes, this all because of the DBMS. Next one is telecommunications. Any telecommunication company cannot even think about their business without the DBMS. So DBMS is must for these companies to store call details, incoming calls and the outgoing calls and call details. and monthly postpaid bills, prepaid and postpaid. That means here only telecommunication can be maintaining the call details and the monthly postpaid of the bills. And next one is finance. Those days have gone for when information related to money, finance is nothing but it is related to money, was stored in registers and the files. So in our colleges and in our home, we are maintaining the one book for the finance, for the daily activities. Today, the time has totally changed because there are lot of thinking to do with the finance, like storing sales, holding information and financial statement and the management, etc. Next one is online shopping. So what is the online shopping? Online shopping has become a big trend nowadays. No one wants to go shop and waste his time. So everyone wants to shop from the home. Sitting in home, we are shopping. So all these products are added and sold only with the help of the DBMS. Flipkart, Amazon, OLX.com, etc. So whatever the shopping we have to do, there are the number of the applications are there. So that application can be storing the total information. So the purchase information and invoice bills and the payment before or after, all of these are done with the help of DBMS. Next one, human resource management. So human resource management departments keep records of each employee's salaries, tax and work through the DBMS. Next one is airline reservation. Airline reservation, it is same as the railway reservation. So airline also needs DBMS to keep records of flight's arrival time and the departure time and the status. That means any delay or late are there, that information can be the updated. So that is the delays. So airline reservation system, it is same as railway reservation system. That means DBMS can be keep the records of the flight arrival time, flight arrival and ticket booking, departure time and the delay status. So these are the all information by using the DBMS only possible. Next one is database. So what is the database? Database is a collection of logically related data that can be arranged in a systematic format. Or we can say that database is a collection of interrelated items or fields or attributes. So simply we can say that database is nothing but a table. Table can be consist of rows and the columns. So in the database, I am taken student database. So student can be consist of the student number or student ID, student name and student marks and the course name or name, whatever you can take. So in this database, student number, it is a primary key, or we can say that it is a key attribute, and student name, marks and the campus name. So these are the non-key attributes. So, what are the key attributes and the non-key attributes? I will explain. And here in student table, student number, name, marks, course name or campus name. So these are the items or fields or attributes. Every database can be consist of two types of keys, that is key attribute and the non-key attribute. In a student table, student number, it is a primary key. Primary key can be represented by using the underline symbol. Underline symbol. And student name, marks, campus name. So these are the non-key attributes. That means non-key attribute is nothing but it is also known as a secondary key attributes. That means it can be consist of the duplication of information. Student name, it can be the repeated or not. And marks, campus name, something X, Y, Z I am taking. So in this X, Y can be studying in a same campus. So that means duplication of information. So name, marks, campus name. So these are the non-key attribute. What is the key attribute? Key attribute is one which always contains unique information. Unique information. It does not allow the duplication of information. For example, in a student table, student number, it is a key attribute. It is also known as a primary key. Key attributes are always belongs to the primary key. Next one, non-key attribute. Non-key attribute is one which will contains may or may not be duplication of information. Non-key attributes cannot be not none. In a student database, student name, marks, campus name. These are the non-key attributes. Next one, advantages of the DBMS. So what are the advantages of the DBMS? So advantages of DBMS is the data redundancy, data integrity, data security and data access. It is also known as a concurrent access and the data sharing. First one, data redundancy. So what is the meaning of the data redundancy? Data redundancy is nothing but duplication of information. That means repetition of same information in many number of application programs. It is known as a data redundancy. So in DBMS, data redundancy is minimized. Why? Because DBMS is an interface between the set of application programs and the database. So it is a software. So that's why in DBMS data redundancy is minimized. Hence we get less memory space. We are not writing the duplication of information. So we want only less memory space and less execution time. It will take execution time also the less. And the more performance, our performance can be the increased. Why? Because duplication of information cannot be the allowed. And we get consistent result. That means consistency is nothing but correctness of the data. So whenever duplication of information can be the eliminated, so we will get the less memory space, less execution time, high performance and the consistent result. So that is the data redundancy. Next one is data integrity. So data integrity is nothing but maintaining correctness of the data. How the data can be the maintaining in a correctness form? So we know the DBMS definition. So database. Database is a collection of logically related data arranged in a systematic format. Systematic format is nothing but it can be consist of rows and the columns. So whenever the rows and columns can be there, so we can be maintaining the data correctly. If we have 100 members, so we have 100 rows and the columns, maintaining the correctness of the data. So in DBMS, data integrity is maintained effectively. How we can be maintained effectively? If we write any program in a DBMS environment, if we write any program in a DBMS environment, if we change the content of one database, then those changes will be reflected back to all the databases. Whenever there is a common information, we can change the one application of the database, it can be reflected back to all the databases. So that is the data integrity. Next one is data security. Here the data security. Security is the one of the important constraints in information technology. Security, it is the one of the important constraints in information technology to protect the confidential information from unauthorized users. So in DBMS, we store the confidential info. In DBMS, we store the confidential information in the form of username and the password. That means unauthorized person cannot access the confidential information. Whenever we are providing the security in the form of username and the password, so unauthorized persons or users cannot access the confidential information. So since DBMS provides 100% security in the form of username and the password. For example, we are providing the security for our cells, mobile phones and the systems. So that is by using the DBMS only, we are providing the security in the form of username and the password. Why? Because confidential information cannot be accessed to the unauthorized persons. And next one is data access or concurrent access. Here concurrent access is nothing but accessing the data simultaneously. Simultaneously is nothing but one after another. So in DBMS, concurrent access can be achieved effectively. That means data can be arranged in a systematic format. So we can be access the data simultaneously, one after another. So that is the concurrent access. Next one is data sharing. So what is the data sharing? So data sharing is nothing but ability to share the data among the databases. Here DBMS, it is a software. So by using this software, we are sharing the data to the many users. It is a computer based system. So it is an electronic device. So we can share the data to the many users. So here the database, it can be connected to the networks. A network is nothing but WhatsApps, Twitter, mails or LANs, local area networks, metropolitan area networks. We have a different types of networks and the Wi-Fi network. So whenever we are using these types of networks, we are sharing the data to the databases. By using the databases, we are sharing the data to the many users. So that is nothing but data sharing. So data sharing is nothing but ability to share the data among the databases. So that is the data sharing. So the advantages of DBM is data redundancy, data integrity, data security, concurrent access, and the data sharing. Next one, entity. So here entity is an object. Entity is an object. In the real world, it is distinguished from other objects. An entity may be a person, place, things, objects, etc. in the user environment. Here some examples are there, that is type and the entity. Here type is a person I am taken. Here person is the student, employee, customer, etc. Place, library, storehouse, or we can say storeroom. Object, pen, paper, pencil, chalk, computer, etc. Event, admission and the sales, concept, course and accounts. Entity should be always written in capital letters only. If I am taken the student, students can be written in capital letters. Whenever I am written student, so it is called the entity. Entity can be represented by using the rectangle symbol. Types of entities. Entity can be classified into three types: strong entity, weak entity, and the associative entity. So what is the strong entity? Strong entity is one which does not depends upon the other entity. Strong entity can be represented by using the rectangle symbol. By using the rectangle symbol. Example, parents. Our parents, strong entity. Why? Because they are not depending on the others. Next one, weak entity. Weak entity is one which depends on other entity. It can be represented by using the double rectangle symbol. Double rectangle symbol. Weak entity. Example, parents, we are taken the strong entity. Next, children's. Children's depending on the parents. So they are depending. So that is the weak entity. Students depends on the lectures. So student, it is the weak entity. Next, associative entity. Associative entity is nothing but association among the entities. So that means relationship among the entities. So these are formed many to many relationship between entity types. Here associative entity symbol is there, that is in a rectangle symbol, diamond. Next one is attributes. What is attribute? Attribute is a property or characteristic of an entity type. In a database definition, I am taken student table. In student table, student number, name, marks, course name, called items or fields are the attributes I am said. So here the attribute is a property. Student can be consist of the student properties. Employee can be consist of employee properties or characteristics. Example, student. It is a entity. So students can be consist of attributes, student number, name, marks, course name or campus name. Employee, employee number, employee name, employee salary and the department. Which employee works in which department? So we can take department also. So these are the attributes or items or fields. Attributes can be represented by using the ellipse or oval symbol. We can say that rounded rectangle symbol. Simply we can say rounded rectangle symbol. Types of attributes. So we have a different types of attributes. That is composite attribute, simple or atomic attribute, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute, derived attribute, identifier attribute and stored attribute. First one, composite attribute. So what is composite attribute here? Here composite attribute is an attribute that can be broken down into two or more parts. That can be broken down into two or more parts. For example, student name. I am taken name attribute. Name attribute can be broken down into first name, middle name and the last name. So in bus pass application form or examination application form, first name, middle name and last name. So these are the comes name attribute. Name attribute can be broken down into first name, middle name and the last name. Next one, simple or atomic attribute. Simple or atomic attribute. Simple attribute is an attribute that cannot be broken down into parts. It is the opposite of the composite attribute. Composite attribute can be broken down into parts, but simple or atomic attribute, it cannot be broken down into parts. For example, age. Age attribute. Age attribute cannot be broken down into the parts. Next one, single valued attribute. Single valued attribute. It is an attribute that takes only one value. Single is nothing but only one. It will takes only one value for a given entity instance. Example, in a student table, student number. In a employee table, employee number. Department table, department number. Course table, course number. Or course ID, campus ID. These are the numbers. That means it is not repeated. So single valued attribute, we can say it is a key attribute. That means it is not repeated. Only one value it will take. Next one, multi-valued attribute. Multi means many. It is an attribute that has one or more values. Multi-valued attribute is one that takes one or more values for a given entity instance. It can be represented by using the double ellipse symbol. Double ellipse symbol or oval symbol. Double oval symbol. For example, multi-valued attribute languages known. So every student will knows more than one language. Telugu, English, Urdu, Sanskrit, Tamil, etc. So these are the languages. So every student will knows more than one language. So that is the multi-valued attributes. Colors. We have different types of colors. So that is also multi-valued attributes. Multi-valued colors, multi-valued attributes. Here, languages known. Every student will knows more than one language. Next one, derived attribute. So what is the derived attribute? Derived attribute is an attribute. It can be calculated from the other attributes. It can be calculated from the other attributes. It is represented by using the dashed ellipse symbol, dashed rounded rectangle symbol. For example, average. Whenever we wanted to calculate average, we have to know the total subject marks. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, or mark 1, marks 2, marks 3. If we have 6 papers, so 6 paper marks we have to know. That time only we have to calculate the average. So average can be calculated by using the other attributes. Telugu, Hindi, English, Math, Science, Social. So these are the other attributes. Calculated by using the average. So we have to calculate the average by using the other attributes. So that is the derived attribute. Next one, identifier attribute. So identifier attribute is an attribute. It is used to identify a row uniquely. A row uniquely. In a database, we are taking the student database. In a student database, student number. It is a key attribute. Key attributes can be represented by using the underline symbol. That means we are identifier. Whenever we are underline, it is a key attribute or the primary key. So student number, employee number, customer ID, course ID, department number. So these are the identifiers. Next one, stored attribute. What is the stored attribute? Stored. So stored attribute is an attribute stored in a database. It is an attribute stored in a database. In a student database, we are storing the student information. That is the stored attribute. Example here, average. In a average, we can be storing the 6 subjects information. Telugu, Hindi, English, Math, Science, Social. So, this all subjects information can be stored in a average. So, the average, it is a stored attribute. Average, it is a stored attribute. Thank you for all.